Here are the solutions for the Check for Understanding Week 2. Problem 1. Use the graph of the function below to answer these questions. Find all intervals where the function is decreasing and write your answer using interval notation. So decreasing means going down, and you read your function from left to right. And for me, the easiest way to think of this is as if you were riding a roller coaster. So if you were riding the roller coaster starting at x is equal to 0, you'd be going uphill until here at x is equal to 1, and then here you would be going downhill. You would be going uphill again, and then here you'd be going downhill. So let's write those two purple intervals using interval notation. Well, you'd be going downhill starting from 1 and going from x is equal to 1 until x is equal to 3. The next downhill would start at x is equal to 5 and continue until x is equal to 7. Now remember, we're going to use parentheses to indicate these intervals because at x is equal to 1, at x is equal to 3, x is equal to 5, and x is equal to 7, you're neither going uphill nor downhill. All right, and then to show that you're going to put these two pieces together, you can use a set symbol to unite them, the union symbol. Next, find the average rate of change from x is equal to 1 until x is equal to 5. All right, so remember, average rate of change is just a fancy word for slope. So average rate of change is a change in y divided by the change in x. All right, so when x is equal to 1, the graph of the function goes to the point 1, 5. And when x is equal to 5, the graph of the function goes through the point 5, 7. So the average rate of change, remember, is just another word for the slope. It's the change in the y variable. So we're going to have 7 minus 5 divided by the change in the x variable. And so we're going to have 5 minus 1. So that's going to give us an average rate of change of 2 over 4. Or you could write that as 1/2. You don't have to reduce it. You can leave it as 2/4 if you'd rather. What's really important is that you are remembering to subtract your y coordinates on top in the numerator and your x coordinates in the denominator. And it's also important that you keep the same order. So for example, notice that I started with 7 on the top. That meant I had to start with 5 on the bottom. These two numbers come from the same point. All right, another average rate of change problem. Find the average rate of change of f of x on the interval from 2 to 2 plus h if f of x is equal to 3x plus 5. All right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to find out the y coordinate when x is equal to 2. So when x is equal to 2, we're going to find the y coordinate by plugging in 2 into the function. So we'd have 3 times 2 plus 5, or in other words, 11. So one point is 2, 11. Now we have to find the coordinates of the other point when the x coordinate is 2 plus h. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to plug 2 plus h into the function. So we're going to have 3 times 2 plus h plus 5. If we distribute, that'll be 6 plus 3h plus 5, or in other words, 3h plus 11. So our second point is 2 plus h, comma, 3h plus 11. And now again, the average rate of change is simply the slope. So it's the change in the y coordinates divided by the change in the x coordinates. All right, so now that we have our coordinates, let's focus in on the y coordinates. So here are the y coordinates. So if we subtract our y coordinates, we have 3h plus 11 minus 11. And now let's focus on our x coordinates. So our x coordinates are 2 plus h and 2. So we have 2 plus h minus 2. And let's go ahead and simplify this. On the top, in the numerator, we have 3h, and in the denominator, we have h. Notice that h divided by h is another name for 1, so we can cancel, and so our final answer is 3. And that makes sense because remember, average rate of change is slope, and we already knew this is a linear function, and the slope is 3. All right, try one more, average rate of change. This one is going to have a little more algebra in it, but same idea. Given g of x is equal to 4x squared plus 2x minus 1, find the average rate of change on the interval from 1 to 1 plus h. So again, we're going to first find out what the y-coordinate would be if x is equal to 1. And again, we just have to plug in 1 for x. So we have 4 times 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 1. Now 1 squared is 1, and 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 minus 1, or in other words, 5. And so when x is 1, y is 5. We're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to find out the y-coordinate when x is 1 plus h. So we have 4 times 1 plus h squared, plus 2 times 1 plus h, minus 1. Now we've reviewed this several times, but I just want to remind you, to do this problem, that means 1 plus h times 1 plus h. You have to distribute, or FOIL, whatever you're used to doing. We're going to have 1 plus 1h plus 1h plus h squared. Notice that we come up with 1 plus 2h plus h squared. So remember to be careful when you distribute. All right, so we have 4 times, and this turned out to be 1 plus 2h plus h squared. We'll distribute here, plus 2 plus 2h minus 1. Now we'll distribute here, 4 plus 8h plus 4h squared, plus 2 plus 2h minus 1. Just gathering our similar terms, we have 4h squared. 8h plus 2h is 10h. And here we have a 4 plus 2 minus 1. 4 plus 2 minus 1 is 5. And so our y-coordinate, if x is 1 plus h, our y-coordinate is 4h squared plus 10h plus 5. And now we have all the information we need to find the average rate of change. So remember, average rate of change is change in y divided by change in x. So we have 4h squared plus 10h plus 5. That's y minus 5. And now we'll focus in on our x coordinates divided by 1 plus h minus 1. And let's go ahead and simplify. These will cancel, and so we have 4h squared plus 10h divided by, these will cancel, h. Can you think of what we're going to do next? Hopefully you were thinking about factoring and then seeing if we can cancel. Notice that the numerator has a common factor of h. So we're going to factor this as h times 4h plus 10 divided by h. And h over h is another word for 1. And so our final answer is going to be 4h plus 10. So that's average rate of change. And we'll take a break now, and we'll do the second part of the problem set in our next video.